The galaxy was never silent. Stars burned, planets turned, and fleets of ships moved like ants across the black ocean of space. But on this day, the galaxy paused. Across countless worlds, across glowing cities and shadowed stations, everyone tuned into the same broadcast. A war was about to begin. The Zorath Empire, proud and ancient, had gathered its fleet. More than 500 ships hovered near the blue glow of a dying star. Their hulls were black, sharp, and hungry. Each ship was armed with cannons powerful enough to erase entire cities. The Zorath were not only strong, they were cruel. They had broken worlds before, burned them to ash, and taken slaves as trophies. Now they turned their eyes toward Earth. No one in the galaxy expected humanity to survive. Humans were new to the stars. They had only touched the galaxy's great stage a few decades ago. Compared to the mighty empires that ruled for thousands of years, they were children playing with fire. The galaxy whispered, "This is the end of humanity." Every species wanted to see the fight. Some tuned in with pity. Others watched with cruel laughter. And many came only for entertainment, for war was the galaxy's favorite sport. When the Zorath fleet arrived, the galaxy cheered. 500 warships, black as shadows, lined up in perfect formation. Their thrusters glowed red. Their weapons glimmered with energy. Their commanders broadcast their strength to every corner of the stars. The galaxy expected to see an answer from humanity. Maybe a desperate alliance, maybe 100 smaller ships, maybe even nothing at all. But then, the human fleet arrived. No, not a fleet. Just one ship. The galaxy gasped. Some thought the broadcast was broken. Others believed more. Ships were hiding behind the star. But the truth was clear. Only one human warship entered the battlefield. It was large, yes, but compared to 500 ships, it was a grain of sand facing a mountain. The aliens laughed. Across the galaxy, voices echoed, "Is this a joke? Are the humans begging for mercy? One ship against the Zorath? They must be mad." The Zorath commander himself laughed in his deep, cruel voice. His words were broadcast across the galaxy. "Humanity thinks one ship can fight us? Very well. Let this be the shortest battle in history." And still, the human ship did not move. It hung in space like a silent predator, its hull silver gray, its thrusters quiet, its cannons dark. No banners flew from its sides, no signals of fear or surrender came from it. It was simply there, alone. The galaxy grew louder. Billions of beings laughed and mocked. Billions more whispered in confusion. But inside the silence of that single ship, humanity waited. The crew did not laugh. They did not tremble. They did not speak of defeat. They had come with a purpose. The ship was named Resolute. It was not the largest ship ever built. It was not the fastest. But it was something else. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Something the Zorath would soon learn to fear. For now, though, the ship remained calm. Its thrusters glowed faintly as it held its position. Its cannons stayed cold. The humans on board simply watched as the enemy fleet spread around them like sharks circling a wounded whale. The galaxy waited for the slaughter. The Zorath commander raised his clawed hand. Destroy them. But the first shot never came. Instead, a low hum began to echo in the blackness, not from the Zorath fleet, but from the human ship. The sound was strange, deep, almost alive. The hull of the Resolute began to glow faint blue, like veins of fire spreading across its armor. Lights flickered on along its sides, weapons sliding. Out from hidden chambers, the aliens grew quiet. Their laughter thinned. The galaxy leaned closer. Something was wrong. Something about this one ship felt different. The Zorath laughed again, but this time their voices were weaker. They fired small warning shots, bright red beams that scorched empty space near the Resolute. But the human ship did not move. It absorbed the silence. It held its ground like a wall that could never be broken. The hum grew louder. The glow grew brighter. The hidden cannons of the Resolute unlocked with a metallic roar, their size larger than anything the galaxy had seen before on a single vessel. Whispers spread across the stars. What is that ship? Why is it glowing like that? Did the human hide something? The Zorath commander sneered. One ship or 1,000 humans are weak. Fire at will. But for the first time, the galaxy noticed something strange. The humans were not afraid. Not one face showed panic. Not one voice trembled. They looked calm, almost confident, as if they knew a secret the galaxy did not. And perhaps they did. The galaxy had mocked them. The galaxy had laughed at them. But laughter was about to end, because the cannons of the Resolute were waking, and, when they spoke, the galaxy would never forget their voice. The battlefield was quiet now. 500 alien ships floated in the black void, surrounding the lone human vessel. From a distance it looked like a wolf pack circling one lonely prey. Yet somehow the prey did not move. It did not run. It only waited. The Zorath commander leaned forward in his throne of steel. His crimson eyes narrowed. Around him, his officers grinned with sharp teeth. Their claws tapped against metal as they prepared for the kill. Why do they hesitate? One of them asked. The commander growled. Humans always try tricks, but there are no tricks against the Zorath. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched with wide eyes. The broadcast screens lit up on space stations, homes, and marketplaces. Children pointed at the glowing human ship. Elders shook their heads and muttered, "They are finished." But the humans were not finished. Inside the Resolute, silence reigned. The crew sat at their stations, eyes focused, hands steady. No one panicked. No one screamed. Each officer moved like part of a great machine. Calm. Cold. Waiting. Captain Elias stood at the center of the command deck. His voice was low but firm. "Maintain position." His officers replied as one. "Yes, Captain." They were not reckless. They were not foolish. They were patient. Outside, the Zorath fleet grew restless. Their laughter returned, though softer this time. The sight of humans sitting in silence unsettled them. The Zorath lived for fear. They expected screams, desperate signals for mercy, a hopeless attempt at escape. But the Resolute offered nothing. It only hummed. The hum was louder now, like thunder trapped beneath steel. Blue light pulsed across the ship's hull, veins of energy crawling outward, brighter with each passing second. The galaxy could feel it. Something was waking inside the human ship, something that did not belong to weakness. The Zorath commander slammed his claw down. Fire a warning shot at their engines. One of the nearest alien cruisers obeyed. Its cannons roared, spitting, a bolt of red energy that streaked across the void. The blast struck near the Resolute's rear thrusters, painting space in fire. When the smoke cleared, the human ship still hovered untouched. Not a scratch, not a flicker. Only the hum, louder, now like a heartbeat echoing across the stars. The Zorath commander frowned. "Strange," muttered one officer. "Impossible," hissed another. But the galaxy saw it. The shot had hit nothing, as though the human ship had bent reality itself. Whispers filled alien marketplaces. Murmurs spread across military councils. Scholars scribbled frantic notes. Something was wrong. Something did not fit. Inside the human ship, Captain Elias gave a small nod. "They're testing us." Another officer smirked. "Let them. Soon they'll regret it." The humans were not afraid. They had prepared for this moment for years, maybe longer. The galaxy had underestimated them, blinded by arrogance. And now, the trap was closing. The Zorath commander bared his teeth. His pride could not accept hesitation. His empire was feared across 100 systems. He would not be mocked by one silent human ship. "Advance the fleet," he growled. "Surround them fully. Let no escape remain." Engines roared. The 500. Warships moved in closer, thrusters blazing, weapons primed. Like a tightening noose, they circled the Resolute until there was no gap, no door, no path to freedom. Still, the human ship did not move. To the galaxy, it looked like madness. To the Zorath, it looked like weakness. But to the humans, it was the plan. The hum inside the Resolute had become a roar now, though only the humans could feel its true power. The ship was alive, its systems awakening like a beast stretching before the hunt. And for the first time, the Zorath commander felt something he had not felt in centuries. Doubt. Why are they so calm? He muttered to himself. His officers gave no answer. The galaxy leaned closer, caught between laughter and fear. What was hidden inside this lone human ship? Why did humanity send only one? On the command deck of the Resolute, Captain Elias turned to his crew. His eyes were steady, his voice like steel. Prepare the main batteries. Panels shifted, lights flared. Deep within the ship, titanic cannons stirred, sliding into place with a grinding echo that carried even across the vacuum. The galaxy gasped. This was not the weaponry of a small, desperate species. This was something else, something new, something built in secret while the galaxy watched in arrogance. The Zorath commander stood tall, trying to mask his unease. One ship cannot match 500. Fire all weapons. End this. Cannons lit, up across the alien fleet. Energy swelled in glowing barrels. The void itself seemed ready to crack. But then, something happened. The Resolute shifted, just slightly. Its blue glow surged brighter, burning like a newborn star. The hum became thunder. The cannons locked into place and the humans waited, steady as stone. The galaxy held its breath. The Zorath fleet moved like a storm. 500 ships glowed red as their weapons charged, filling the darkness with light. From every corner of the galaxy, beings leaned close to their screens, waiting to see the humans destroyed. The end of the story seemed written already. One ship against 500. A single spark against a raging fire. But the spark was not afraid. The Resolute drifted in silence, its hull now shining with blue lines of energy. The hum that had begun as a whisper was now a roar, a vibration, so deep that even alien sensors struggled to understand it. It was as if the ship itself carried the heartbeat of a giant. The Zorath commander lifted his claw. All ships, fire! The void exploded. Hundreds of red beams cut through the darkness, missiles streaked like burning arrows. Plasma shells screamed across the battlefield. The combined power of 500 ships struck in one blinding storm. The galaxy gasped. But when the fire cleared, the human ship was still there. The Resolute stood untouched. Around it, a faint blue shield shimmered, rippling like water disturbed by stone. The shield bent the storm aside, scattering beams into harmless fragments, breaking missiles into dust. The galaxy fell silent. It was impossible. No shield in history could block that much firepower. No single ship could withstand the wrath of 500. And yet, the Resolute remained, calm and unbroken. The Zorath commander's eyes widened. For the first time, he felt the cold bite of fear. Inside the Resolute, Captain Elias spoke softly. "Shields holding?" "Unharmed, Captain," replied his officer with a steady smile. The captain nodded. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with fire. "Then it's time to answer them." The command deck grew brighter as power surged through the ship. Deep within its core, reactors screamed to life. Massive cannons unfolded from hidden chambers, their barrels glowing with white-blue fire. The galaxy whispered, "What are those weapons?" The Zorath shouted, "Impossible." The humans called them Thor cannons. Weapons designed not to fight ships but to erase them, built in secret, hidden from the galaxy, born from years of desperation and genius. Humanity had no fleets like the ancient empires, but what they built to win. The captain raised his hand. "Target the nearest cluster, the first." Thor cannon fired. It was not a beam. It was not a missile. It was a bolt of lightning, pure and endless, tearing across the void like the hand of a god. It struck 3 Zorath cruisers at once. For a moment they glowed red like burning coal. Then they vanished in fire. The galaxy screamed. Entire systems watching live stood in shock. Markets fell silent. Halls of leaders shook. The impossible had just happened. The Zorath fleet panicked. Commanders shouted orders. Ships broke formation. Alarms screamed across 500 vessels. But the humans did not stop. Another Thor cannon fired, ripping through 2 battleships. Their armor cracked like glass, their cores exploding in brilliant flames. Wreckage spun through space, colliding with smaller vessels that burned in the storm. The Zorath commander slammed his claws on his throne. His pride shattered into rage. Impossible. No ship holds such power. But the truth was clear. Humanity had done the unthinkable. For centuries, the galaxy had mocked them, calling them weak, calling them children. But the children had grown, teeth. And now the galaxy would bleed. Inside the Resolute, the crew moved with precision. Voices calm, hands steady, no fear in their eyes. For them, this was not madness. It was the plan. Fire main batteries, the captain commanded. 1. By 1, the cannons spoke. Each shot ripped through enemy lines. Each blast erased ships that once terrorized the stars. The Zorath, once so confident, now scattered like frightened animals. Still, the humans did not chase. They did not rush. They fought with control, with purpose, with the quiet patience of predators. The galaxy, once laughing, now watched in silence. Billions of beings who had mocked humanity now whispered one question. How did they build this ship? The Zorath commander, sweating in his throne, searched for an answer. His empire's greatest fleet was being broken by one ship. His pride crumbled. His power slipped away. And still the human captain remained calm. His voice carried across the deck, quiet but unstoppable. They wanted to know why humanity sent only one ship. Let's show them. The Resolute's cannons glowed again, brighter than before. The hum became thunder, shaking even the stars, and when it fired, the galaxy understood. Humanity did not need many ships, they only needed one. The galaxy had fallen into silence. Billions of beings watched as the first Zorath ships exploded, erased by the human cannons. In marketplaces, in war rooms, in crowded taverns, everyone froze. Children stopped laughing. Elders forgot their breath. The impossible had happened. 500 against 1, and yet it was the Zorath who bled first. But this was only the beginning. The Zorath commander roared, his voice shaking his command deck. Forward, crush them. Like predators driven mad, the Zorath fleet surged. Their ships lit up the void, beams of fire streaking across space, missiles screaming through the dark. The storm returned, red, wild, merciless. Yet the Resolute did not falter. Its shield glowed like a sun, bending beams aside, breaking missiles in bursts of light. Where other fleets would crumble, the human ship stood firm. Inside the command deck, Captain Elias raised his hand. His face was calm, his voice unshaken. Fire at will. The Thor cannons roared. Bolts of lightning tore through space, carving burning paths across the void. Each strike erased ships as though they were made of paper. Cruisers split in two, their cores detonating in firestorms. Battleships melted under the weight of impossible energy. The Zorath fleet staggered. Ships tried to dodge, thrusters flaring, but the human weapons were too fast, too precise. 3 down on the left flank, shouted a human officer. 5 more on the right, called another. The battlefield was no longer a hunt. It was a slaughter. The Zorath commander's voice cracked with rage. Surround them, close the gap, overwhelm the shields. And they tried. Small attack craft rushed in like insects, swarming the Resolute from every direction. Dozens of tiny ships spat fire at its hull, hoping to break the shield. But the humans had planned for this. Panels along the Resolute's sides opened, and hundreds of smaller turrets came alive. They spat streaks of white light, tearing into the swarms. One by one, the attack craft vanished, broken into sparks and dust. The galaxy gasped again. This was not only a warship, it was an entire fleet inside one hull. The Zorath panicked. Ships turned too quickly, colliding with one another. Officers screamed as their formations shattered. The unity of 500 became chaos in minutes, and the humans pressed forward. The Resolute advanced, slow but unstoppable. Its cannons fired rhythmically, each strike a hammer of thunder, each blast a death sentence. Alien ships fled backward, their commanders desperate to find safety. But there was no safety in this battlefield. The galaxy had mocked the humans for sending one ship. But now, one ship was more terrifying than 500. The Zorath commander clutched his throne, his claws shaking. He had never known fear like this. For centuries, the galaxy had feared the Zorath. Entire civilizations had fallen before their fleets, but today their empire trembled before humanity's single warship. Inside the Resolute, the crew remained steady. Voices calm, eyes sharp, hands moving with purpose. They had trained for this. They had dreamed of this. Humanity's survival depended on it. Captain Elias spoke again, his voice carrying like iron. Focus fire on their flagships. The Thor cannons aligned. Their glow brightened until the void itself seemed to split. And then they fired. The enemy flagship exploded. Its wreckage tore through the ships beside it, scattering fire and metal across the stars. The commander's image flickered on broadcasts, his proud face vanishing in the storm. Across the galaxy, gasps turned into silence. Some whispered in awe, others in terror. But all understood the same truth. The age of mocking humanity was over. The battle raged on. Ships tried to retreat, thrusters blazing, but the Resolute hunted them down. No escape was allowed. Each fleeing vessel became a target, and each target ended in fire. The once mighty Zorath fleet was breaking apart. Ships drifted powerless. Wreckage floated like bones in the sea, and the proud empire's warriors screamed as they burned. The galaxy watched. Not one being turned away. Not one voice dared laugh. This was not just a battle. It was a message. Humans had come with only one ship. Not because they were weak, but because one ship was all they needed. At last, the battlefield grew quiet. Smoke and fire lingered where hundreds of Zorath ships once stood, and in the center of it all, untouched, unbroken, unshaken, hovered the Resolute. The hum faded. The blue glow dimmed. But the silence that followed was louder than any cannon. Across the galaxy, fear became respect. Respect became awe, and awe became a question that would echo for centuries. If one human ship could destroy 500, what would a fleet of them do? The galaxy had its answer, and the Zorath had their defeat. The battlefield was quiet now. Once, 500 Zorath warships had filled the void with fire. Now, only wreckage floated in silence. Broken hulls drifted like dead whales, their glowing cores extinguished. Shattered wings and twisted metal spun endlessly through the dark. And at the center of it all, untouched, unbroken, hovered one ship. The Resolute. Its blue glow had dimmed. Its cannons cooled. Yet its presence filled the void more powerfully than any fleet. Across the galaxy, silence reigned. On stations and ships, in markets and council halls, beings stared at their screens, unable to speak. Billions had gathered to laugh at humanity's foolishness. Billions had expected a quick death. Now those same billions sat frozen. The Zorath fleet, invincible for centuries, was gone. And it had been destroyed not by a mighty empire, not by an ancient rival, but by a single human ship. Inside the Resolute, the crew sat calm, though their faces were lit by the fires of victory outside. No cheers erupted. No voices shouted. They had known this moment was coming. They had trained for it, prepared for it, carried the weight of it on their shoulders. Humanity had survived. Humanity had shown its teeth. On the command deck, Captain Elias stood tall. His voice, steady and quiet, carried across the silence. Transmit, a signal stretched across the void, carried on every channel the galaxy watched. Every being, every world, every empire heard the human captain's words. You wondered why we sent one ship, Elias said. His eyes were hard, his voice unshaken. You mocked us. You called us weak. You thought humanity would break. He paused. Behind him, the shattered wrecks of 500 warships floated like a graveyard. But humanity does not break, he continued. We bend, we struggle, we fall, and then we rise, always stronger, always ready. You asked why we sent one ship. His hand touched the arm of his chair. His eyes burned with fire. This is the answer. The broadcast showed the ruins of the Zorath fleet. The galaxy shivered. Captain Elias leaned forward, his voice low but sharp as a blade. One ship is enough, because humanity builds ships that win wars. The signal ended. The galaxy erupted. Some cheered, voices rising in awe and joy. Others trembled, their eyes wide with fear. Entire councils fell silent, leaders questioning their power. Soldiers across empires whispered in dread. The name of the human ship spread like wildfire. Resolute. It would be remembered. On Zorath, worlds riots broke out. Their citizens, once proud of their empire, now cursed it. The invincible fleet was gone. The terror of the stars had been humbled by humans. On neutral worlds, merchants and scholars began to speak differently. They had mocked humans as children. Now they spoke with respect and fear. And on Earth, humanity celebrated quietly. Not with wild cheers, but with pride. The galaxy had seen their strength. The galaxy had learned their lesson. But deep in the hearts of humans, a single truth burned brighter than all. This was only the beginning. For centuries, empires had ruled the stars. They had enslaved the weak. They had crushed the small. But humanity had entered the galaxy, and humanity would not bow. Not now. Not ever. The galaxy wondered what would happen if Earth built not one ship, but 10, or 100, or 1,000. The galaxy wondered, and it feared. The wreckage of the Zorath fleet drifted in silence. And in that silence, a new age began. The age of humanity.